Personally, if a man cheats on me, I'm definitely going to leave him.
No question
I feel
about
like
it.
that can be negotiated. Cannot negotiate
And
before.
that's that.
As a child of divorce, it's alright. It's not that bad. I feel like divorce is a. I feel like it should be not a last option, more of something that you've tried everything. You've tried counseling. You've tried amends, but nothing else can work. I feel like with the current generation, saying it as a youth who's probably not, but with the current generation, divorce has become like the go-to choice. Small arguments mnaachana, and I feel that just shows the kind of level of relationships that you are in general. So I do feel like divorce is okay, but it has to be like the nuclear option. Yeah.
So for you, you're saying is that it shouldn't be a get out of jail card for something that's small or petty. It should be the last resort if she's in a place of not being protected. Like this guy has a serious bad addiction and it's not getting any better. Like that should be, I've tried everything. I've tried therapy. He's now going on the streets looking for this. I should get out. So it should be the last.
Why are you marrying?
Why are you marrying to someone who's
That was extreme example. That was extreme example.
You know your extreme examples.
So she mentioned that if she finds out that he cheated on her, she will cut it off. But let's just say he did it, but he hasn't told her until like 7 years later. Would you still cut it off?
Yeah, because now you've lied to me. Not only have you cheated, you've lied to me for 7 years.
A liar.
Like I don't even think I'd forgive you for that. Like that will take a while.
So
wow,
Judy,
but
I'm
I'll
about
leave
to attack
immediately.
you. If Shem, you know how a beauty boy Shem is. He guys a bike,
basketball player.
He's a basketball player. He has good money. He's a well-off dude. And you never know how the streets might handle him. And then Shem approaches you one day and he says, you married a handsome man and so some things got lost in translation and ended up in somebody else's bed. How will you handle such a situation?
Wow. Q, you should have not put me here. Why am I the only married woman? Wow. Okay. I feel like cheating breaks trust, and rebuilding trust and from a point of betrayal can be difficult, or rather it is difficult. For me, to be honest, my first instinct would be, of course I'm hurt and all that, but I want to forgive you and I want to make it work. But if it is a habitual sin, then I would have a problem with that. Well, I don't know. It's different for everyone, and yes, the Bible does prescribes divorce in the case of adultery, and I feel like habitual sin for me is what would make me leave. If it's habitual cheating, I would leave. But if it did happen, I don't know. I don't know if I'm speaking because it hasn't happened to me, and I hope it doesn't happen to me. And probably someone who's experienced it will have a different standing. But where I'm standing right now is I love this man, and I don't want all that love to just end.
Can you just
what
say,
does that big word mean? Habitual sin.
Habitual sin is
repeat.
Yeah, you keep cheating. You cheated once. You confessed, I forgave you, but then you go out and do it again and then come, then that's a pattern.
Okay.
and that now for me that's a red flag. I'll be like, now this has become a pattern that I cannot.
I feel as we've continued through this video, we just see the kind of choices Shem has made, and we feel like must be nice, must be really, really nice. Amy had something to say.
Yeah, so with habitual sin, I always look at it from this point. One, I believe even someone who's stolen a pen compared to someone who's stolen a TV or something, those two people are still sinners. Yes, you might have just stolen one pen. Yes, you might have just cheated with one man. And you've gone ahead to cheat with more than one. Comparing someone who's cheated with multiple to one who's cheated with one, I still think those are sinners at the end of the day. And the number to me really doesn't matter.
It's one or out. One and you're out.
And I'm out. So
Damn.
Habitual is very... It's interesting.
Damn.
That's
Victor, kuna kitu ya
interesting.
kusema?
I was going to bring up this point, but I feel like it's a bit too shallow to do a divorce on someone. What if these two people are not sexually compatible with each other?
What?
Okay, now that brings the interesting topic of... do I want to bring it up? So, you know the way in marriage, if you go the... not if... When you go the Christian route, you never know... what will happen in the bedroom after you get married. You never know if you are aligned in some aspects. Shema cha kuniangalia hivyo. If you don't know if you are aligned in some aspects. So what happens when you go in and you realize they do nothing for you, or
It's just not working.
they're scary. There are people who are scary. So would you, at that point, would sex when you're engaged be a thing?
Sex.
Because
I feel like we've moved to like a completely different question.
just these are random nini, but
Okay.
we'll come back to it.
Okay.
I don't know who wants to answer.
So should that be like the deal breaker for like divorce? Like,
Should it be a
we're
deal
not
breaker for
compatible,
divorce?
He doesn't.
I mean, marriage is literally two people becoming one.
Okay.
And people
Wait.
become
So that means if we went the Christian route and we've not done
not
anything.
if when.
Okay, yes, when. And we've not done anything.
Whoa.
So that means on our honeymoon, because obviously I'm assuming
Who are looking at? I know who you are looking
I'm
at.
looking at the married woman.
Oh, I thought you were looking at it. I was like, yo, I was calling something else.
So I'm assuming that is when things happen. By things, you know what the things mean. So if you find out that you're not compatible that night, it means, oh, I'm divorcing you now because you're not satisfying me in a certain way.
I have questions, but we will further digress from this topic because I'm like, what do you mean compatibility? like
There's-
I'm not feeling satisfied. from
well,
this.
I wouldn't know. My mom, if you're watching this, I don't know.
To say. I think this is not advice I'm giving. I have just heard. It's just saying it for a friend, you know? I think compatibility can be worked on. And the same way you worked up to build an emotional connection is the same way you can work up to build a physical connection.
yeah. Well, I agree
That was a
with,
smart
with
friend.
yeah.
Friend of a friend of a friend of a friend. It's very
Yeah.
smart.
So going back to the question Victor asked about, is sexual incompatibility a cause for
grounds to
divorce? I
divorce.
think it isn't, because there's something you can work on. There's therapy. There's, the things that you can do to work on your sexual life. And sex is more than just the actual act. There's so much that goes into it. So it's not, don't think about it just as receiving satisfaction. There are other things that go into it. And it's not, well, for me, it doesn't make sense to divorce because of sexual incompatibility. Because what's the guarantee that the next person you marry will be sexual compatible with you, and you can't keep trying until you find
you'll have
the
a whole
person.
phase.
Yeah.
You go through a whole phase.
Yeah. So divorce. The question was: is
I
divorce?
don't know.
Or what my thoughts are on divorce is, I don't like divorce. I don't know. I don't think anyone likes divorce, and I subscribe to the view that you should work, or both people should work on their marriage intentionally to not to get to a point of divorce. I know there are situations where divorce is the only option, in cases of abuse and all that. But when the Bible says that when you're one with someone, when you marry, you become one with them, the process of removing or separating these two people is such a painful process. And I imagine there's someone who showed us an example where if you glue two pieces of paper and then try to remove one piece, how it tears away. It doesn't come out complete or whole. I feel that's how divorce does, and there's a lot of a lot of emotion, a lot of, I don't know. I don't like divorce. I pray that couples are able to work through their issues, if there are issues that can be resolved. But in cases where your life is at risk or your children's life is at risk, then divorce is, could be the option to take. But we shouldn't get into marriage thinking that, I have a way out, that divorce is a way out. If your partner is a believer and you share the same values, and you are in one accord when you are dating, and I don't think there is anything that can come and tear you away if you're intentionally seeking to preserve that marriage. And also there's the aspect of children, especially younger children. I feel like when you're teenagers or older, you probably have a way to process divorce, but younger kids don't know how. They don't understand where is mom or where is dad, and it's a lot. Yeah.
Should Christian couples sign a prenup before marriage?
Before we get to that, what's the definition of the prenup?
Okay. A prenup is a contract made by law that whatever money is made, either it's during the length of your marriage, is not divided between the both of you. So whatever money you have made stays with you, unless it's like in a joint account. So if you're a millionaire before
getting married, should you sign it? Yeah. No, don't sign it. No, don't sign it. My reason, it's not on her. It's basically I've worked really hard up to this point, and then to reach the thing about marriage. I mean, yeah, I know we're gonna be together, but it's not a guarantee that this thing might or might not work. I'm not saying there's an out, but it's just safety of finances. I would just say,
You should, but you shouldn't.
you shouldn't sign it.
You shouldn't sign it.
They should sign it.
You mean
you
like
should
they
sign
should
it.
sign
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
But don't you think that when you say that, it's like you kind of have a motive, or like how do I put this? It's like you see yourself not being with this person, or you probably see this person having a different motive other than genuinely wanting to be with you. So it's like if they're with you because of what you have.
But at the same time, the guy is also battling with, she likes me, she sees me as all that. But is it because of what I have, or is it because of me? So it's like, just to be safe.
But then why are you with someone you're not sure of?
No, you're not sure about that person. You're not sure about that person. You're just not sure about does she like you because of who you really are? You know, like all the cracks you've gone through, you've seen everything, you've seen it through, and it's like she loves you for who you are. But this guy is also fighting a battle where I've made all this wealth and everything. Does she love me because of this or because of who I am?
I don't know. My stance. I've really been cooking about my answer. But for me, I think I've come to the conclusion in my mind in these 5 minutes because I've never thought about it before. Cause what? I'm young. What am I thinking about prenup? Oh, money yet? I won't want enough money yet. Let me reach. But what I feel based on personally my relationship with money and how I think of money and everything around it, I personally would not have a prenup during marriage or anything. First, on the basis of it's for me, it's a sign of trust and faith and belief in the person that I am marrying, as well as our willingness to let the relationship try and to try to help the relationship be stable, as well as putting the belief that the person I have decided to marry, if hell happens, things go the way things go, without our circumstances knowing, they would not be one of those people who are very aggressive about it. So I feel like I would not marry a woman who is very aggressive or insecure about how money is made or anything about that when it comes to the point of divorce, they get really territorial and they get really attackative about the money that you have made. So I feel for me, a prenup is more of a way of protecting yourself, but if you're marrying the right person, you do not need to protect yourself, even when it reaches a point of conflict, which can happen at the end of a relationship. Hey, I've cooked! Hey! Okay, I'm proud of that one. I'm proud of that one, guys. I'm proud of that one. I'm proud of that one.
I think I agree with Eric. I don't think Christians should sign a prenup. One, because I feel like, or I think that when you're loving someone, you love them with all that you have, and you are, I don't know how to put it, it's at the expense of loss. Like, I'm not saying what if they take your money after you get married or whatever, but it's when you choose to love someone, it's you love them to a point that even if they were to betray you and take your money, it's the cost of love. It's
that one I don't. Hatuko pamoja.
like I don't think you should, because of trust. If you trust your partner, I don't think you should hide or keep your property or your stuff from them, because it brings up then why are you trying, or why do you want to spend the rest of your life with this person if you can't trust them with what you have? It's an issue of trust. I think it just goes back to, do you trust this person enough to be able to give them what you have? And if you are not, if you don't trust that person enough to do that, then there's something that's missing in that relationship. Yeah, that's what I think.
I'll come back to you. So should couples share one bank account? Married couples.
That's up to the discretion.
What does that mean?
It means you can choose to, you can choose not to. If you choose to, there's the part of accountability and sharing. If we have a joint account, I won't just go and keep withdrawing money and I'm not telling my husband what I'm doing with the money. It's a point of, if we decide to put our money together or if we decide to have a joint account, there's accountability and sharing, and there's also trust, that I trust my partner has the best interest of this family in mind, that they won't go out on a spending spree knowing the issues that we have as a family and disregarding them. So you need to trust that your partner is sound enough to make decisions that are good or are for the benefit of your family. So you can choose to, you can choose not to. If you don't have, then also being transparent with what you have. If I have my own account, being transparent and be like, okay, this is what I have in my account, this is what he has in his account. Yeah.
Amy, you're not said anything.
Yeah, mostly because it's not something I'm too knowledgeable about. So I think I'd really need to know more about what a prenup entails for me to really have an opinion about it.
Is remarriage after divorce a sin?
I don't think so. Especially if you're coming from, let's see, the extremes of like an abusive relationship or like cheating and stuff. I don't think remarrying and giving it another shot is a sin.
Berto, you said biblically, right? Biblically, is it a sin?
No,
Is
You
there-
just asked
is-
if it's a sin. It's not just anything about biblical.
Oh, okay. So is there a verse that says that you shouldn't marry after you divorce or something like that? You're not allowed to marry after divorce. Is that true? So biblically, we can't marry someone else after divorce. Pastor Judy.
I felt like even there was the exception of adultery. I feel like there's the exception of adultery.
yeah, that's what I
to
said in the
that. So that-
extremes. I think it's fine.
On adultery, but not abuse or anything else.
I think adultery is the only instance where you're allowed to divorce someone. Yeah. But then this other instances, the abuse. But then I don't know. Me, I don't want to say I disagree with the Bible, but
Me
that
disagree
part
with the Bible. You do
doesn't
the way you
make
are. Love is love. Go remarry, bana. If the first husband fail, go to the second. If the second fail, well to the third. If the third fail, go to the fourth.
If the fourth passes
Then
away,
take all
go
their
to
names and have the
fifth.
money. Simple. But I'm joking. That was all I'm saying is. I feel like you should be allowed to remarry. I mean, there's nothing wrong with getting a second chance or a third or a fourth, because not everyone is best with what do you call it? Rational thinking, or not rational thinking. It's choosing. Some people have not yet really healed, so their choices don't necessarily are the best. So I feel like people should be allowed to have second chances, to get married and to at least know what a healthy marriage look like and find someone.
Yeah.
I feel
I
like
agree with Eric, because let me give you this instance.
even the fourth marriage.
No. I'm married to a 70-year-old man. I'm 23.
This is how we learn. Breaking news. This is how
I just put it out there. Don't be shocked. And this man, for some reason, he dies.
He's 70. What do you mean for some reason?
Yeah. So, listen.
He's 70,
Something
what if for
happened.
some reason.
I know this is...
It was probably planned.
I've been forced to say this. So, this man, he has money. And then... This is so wrong to say on TV. Yeah, I won't say it.
Sema tu.
But let's say we were married and then I want to divorce him and then he dies. He's 70. I'm 23. I've not even enjoyed life, guys. I want to be married. I want to. What? But we divorced before he got. So I'm allowed to marry someone else. So death is like
This is a dangerous thought you're turning to, Tracy. This is like marry one, not finding it, divorce, kill them, done. I can go to heaven now.
If he has money and he's on his deathbed.
No, just microphone, but you go on.
I agree with
I'm
Eric. I agree with Eric. Yeah, and I disagree against the Bible. I feel like people deserve to know what a healthy marriage feels like. If your first marriage, you went through it, and then this person just became another character, and it just became painful and hurtful, and you tried everything, and you're literally hurting. You deserve to feel a healthy relationship. You deserve to be a guy who generally cares about you. Within those 30 years, you know,
Aww.
because by the time you're 50 and you're 60, you know, when all your close friends have mostly passed away, he's just gonna be there. So you'd rather have someone who is there to love you and generally care about you through it till the end, rather than go through something painful as time goes by and regretting a healthy relationship. So yeah, Christians should be allowed to remarry.
Wow. Okay, the Bible
Shema
talks
kikuacha
about...
utaniambia utapata mtu mwingine.
I'm going to answer in relation to
Ndio
that.
unacha Shem, pole. Si Shema anakuacha Shem.
Oh, mi ndo namwasha.
Wewe ndio mwasha.
The Bible says that whoever marries a divorcee commits a sin. I don't want to sound, I don't know, controversial but I do believe in second chances. I do believe that if you left an abusive marriage or if you left an adulterous marriage, there is a place for second chance at love. But I also am of the opinion of recognizing that was not God's intention about it. I mean, that was not God's plan for your marriage, that you divorce, and coming to a point of... The Bible talks about the forgiveness of sin, right? So, so many women have been tricked into staying into abusive marriages because God hates divorce. But I also believe God is a forgiving God. So divorce is not an unforgivable sin. Yeah. So there is a place for forgiveness. But when you're remarrying, you do understand that the Bible prescribes, or the Bible talks about remarrying with your partner alive as divorce, as a sin. And also, I don't know, repentance or acknowledging, you're not remarrying out of, how do I put it?
Selfish desire.
Yeah, or being anti-biblical, but being aware of what God says about remarrying and about divorce with your partner. I mean, remarrying with your partner still alive, but also, I don't know, do I say repenting and turning to God with those feelings or desires to get married again? So yes, they should be allowed to remarry, because there are Christians who've remarried, and we can't say they are living in sin, because they're God's children and they have a relationship with God, and probably they turned to God and repented and all that. But how do I put it? There's a place for forgiveness of sin. If it is your desire to remarry, I believe you should be allowed to remarry. That's my thought.
That scripture is in Acts, right? About divorcing. It's
Matthew.
in where? Matthew.
It's in the Gospels. Matthew, Luke.
I feel like he would understand. Even though in the Bible it says it's a sin, I feel like if you've seen the pain... No, because honestly, if you've seen the pain that you've gone through, and remember, you're praying for healing, you're praying God to help this person out. I feel like if you remarried, he would understand that she was doing this because she wants something healthy, something true. So I feel like God wouldn't... Although the Bible says it, I feel like he himself wouldn't see it as like a sin, that it's like a bad thing.
When you say, what I'm trying to show is God and his word are not in a contradictory state. Yeah. God can't contradict his word. So when he talks about remarrying after divorce as a sin, and then the aspect of him understanding that you're in pain and you need to heal, it shouldn't be a contradiction. It shouldn't be that he's going against his word. There's like you can't separate God and his word and say, oh, he'll understand. Yes, he'll understand, but it's also as us as human beings to understand that this is indeed a sin. And how do we respond to sin is by repenting, and being aware that this is sinful. But also understanding that God loves you enough to forgive you and to allow you to have a second chance at love. So it's not a contradiction between the character of God and his word. Yeah.
Fair.
Should the church's teachings on divorce take into account the societal and cultural changes that have occurred since they were first established?
We have more choices now. I just want to say that. No, I feel should it take into account? Yes, but I feel it's the delivery that should take into account, not the content. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how divorce laws and all that work, but I feel divorce laws and how the church works with that, because I know it's a whole department. But it's more of, again, you don't come at it with such a religious holier than thou aspect to it, delivery to it. Well, most people don't live. Most people, get married in church, but they don't keep religion in the middle of their marriages. Most people would not. So I feel like the delivery of how Christians hold divorce should take the societal changes that are happening, rather than the way to focus in the oldness. Like during Matthew's time, most people were living through Jewish law, which was based on the Torah and all that. So it was very relevant to them for it to be delivered in such a clear-cut, black and white way. It was direct and all that. But we living in our societal, it feels like people are a mixture of many things. This cultural, the societal. It's a mixed pot. It's a cultural mixed pot of various identities within a person, that the way it's delivered it should somehow be able to touch on almost all of it.
So,
Sorry, can I just give context?
Yeah.
During Jesus' time, divorce was more rampant than now. So when Jesus said those words, it was more controversial then than probably even it is now. Because they were allowed to sign certificates of divorce at will, whenever they wanted. So when Jesus makes the contest, when Jesus says the statements on divorce, it's actually quite more controversial than now.
So I got lost.
Same.
Please repeat the question.
Okay. The question is, should the church's teachings on divorce take into account societal and cultural changes that have occurred since they were first established?
So yes, it should take account. I think that was my basic answer. Yeah, it should take account.
I also think it should take account, but it's the way they should bring it out in a way that is, I don't know, accepting of the people that want to get divorced, because people have their reasons of why they want to get divorced. And I don't know, I feel my mind is like clouded, but yes, I think the church should take account.
this is an uninformed take, but in the old churches, right now in the society, we're recognizing that mental health should be something that should be taken into and understood. So I feel like back, mental health wasn't seen as if a couple was going through abuse or hurtfulness and all that, and that person would bring it before the pastor. Usually it'd be like the man would say, "No, this woman's acting like this. She's acting like this. I don't know why. It must be the devil." So I feel like pre-1900s, I feel like most issues that were happening weren't dealt with in the correct way. It was just blamed onto it's the devil doing this, or she's not being a listening woman, she's not being this type of woman. But then now in our day, since we now recognize mental health as an actual thing, we recognize that, okay, maybe she isn't doing this because, you're not spending more time with her, or you talk in this derogative way to her at home. It's not recognizing that side of communication. So I feel like, yeah, churches should definitely what was the question? Not what the question again? The last part of the question was, should churches take into account of today's standards? Yeah, so if it's mental health, then yes, I would put up with that.
How can the church address and prevent the high rate
High rates of?
of divorce?
I think continuously speaking about what the word says on divorce, because at the end of the day, the church really can't force people not to do this thing. And I think it's just intentionally having sermons about it, preaching about it, and really telling people what the word really says about it, and leaving it out to them to make a choice from that. I think that's really the most the church could do.
I'd say the church should come up with programs where you're like taught. Is it pre or post?
Pre.
Pre-marriage. Like you know what you're getting yourself into, so that when you're married and someone does something, divorce is not like your first what? Yeah, your first go-to move. So I think the church should come up with programs that will help you understand more what you're getting yourself into before like getting into the act.
I agree with Amy. I don't think the church can reduce the rates of divorce. I would say it has to do with the economy. This is a wild take, but if the economy isn't favorable, less people are inclined to have kids, because it's going to be more expensive to take care of those kids. So they'll have like one or two. When it comes to like relationships, one side of the spouse is going to be putting in longer hours and work so that they're able to financially be stable. Now, because of him being out of the picture for like 3 days a week or 4 days a week, chances are she might cheat on him with someone else who's there, or it just may not work out. So to me, I don't feel like the church is like the band-aid that can build these programs and be like, we can reduce divorce rates to like a small percentage. It has to do mainly with the economy of a country.
Are you attributing
that there.
divorce to poor economy?
It's a logical, though. It's pretty logical. Because I saw a study where if the economy is not doing really well, people are less inclined to have kids because it's
What
going to
does
be more
kids and divorce
expensive.
have to do?
Also, you really tied
Divorce.
finance
Most people divorce out of finances.
What?
Okay,
I think
the way I think of why divorce happens is unfaithfulness, and then
It's because
finances.
one partner is busy.
He's busy working for long hours that he's not there, and then when he comes, they don't have that time to bond. So maybe he gets angry, it gets physical, and it's like a repeating thing. So it's just not working out.
People can drift apart without getting physical.
It's real. Like I've seen
So,
it happen.
From your perspective, the church can't do anything to reduce the divorce rate.
I don't think it can reduce it to like we can bring it all the way to like a normal level. I don't think it can.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, for example, like what Mavuno does with Ndoa, I think that's an example of like a program that they've introduced for couples to, get to really know more about their relationship and enriching that before they get married, and like having conversations like that. I think educating people in general, even with different matters, plays a huge impact on reducing certain things. And in this case, if churches are able to implement such programs, that could, in the bigger picture, reduce these rates. Because I think that's an extra mile in trying to educate people, which I think is very resourceful and helpful in reducing that.
So why are
I got nothing to
divorce?
say on this one.
Why are divorce
Honestly,
rates increasing?
got nothing on this one.
What do you guys think? What do you guys think is increasing divorce rates? Because I think it's economically.
I think for me, I don't know if the statistics support me on this, but my thought is the idea that people get married with the option that divorce is an out of this. So, marriage surpasses finances in terms of I'm with this person whether we got money or not. Like, it's not, money is not the whole idea of marriage. It's just a role. So for me to divorce someone because they don't have money, or also for a man to sacrifice his family on the altar of bread is also something. So ideally the solution would be to teach men on how, yes, you are responsible to be the provider. Even women are providers, but how do you make sure that your family is not suffering at the expense of you looking for money? Because then again, your priority is your family. Yes, there is the aspect of money and meeting bills and supporting your family, but it shouldn't be at the cost of your wife or your children. So as she said, that's why programs like Ndoa, that's why the church should be involved in conversations with young people who are planning to get married or in relationships, to explain or to teach, this is how you act in marriage. And I love how even in the Bible it prescribes, it talks about when you get married, take a year off from ministry, go concentrate on your wife and your children, because even the Bible recognizes that there's a place where we can get too spiritual or too religious that we forget that we are married and we have kids. And God understands that you are an all-rounded human being with a family and with kids, and he wants you to be able to know there's a time for ministry, there's a time for your church, your devotion, and there's time for family. So the church, whether it's regardless of economy, because if you look at it right now, people are divorcing for simple misunderstandings. Others is because of abuse. Actually I think the high rate is physical abuse. Yeah. So the church needs to be involved in such conversations and not shunning away the topic of divorce as something that we can't talk about as a church. We need to talk about it and teach our congregation on marriage, being involved in the reconciliation process of couples that want to divorce, and not neglecting them or neglecting the topic on divorce. Yeah.